Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special episode of Hunter Bad Blood Aftermath, where we're not going to roll any dice tonight. We're all just going to kind of,
Oh no.
I mean, we can. I still have the dice right here if you want to. But I know, like, Carly has a game she's going to go to, and I'm sure some of you have things you'd like to do. But thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit tonight. While we're talking, we're going to talk about your characters during the game Hunter Bad Blood and what it might mean for a future series for the channel. We'll see how this goes. But before we do that, let's do a round of introductions. Tell us who you are, where to find you on the internet if there is a place, and who you played. And then we'll talk about your character's reactions to the finale. Ed, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So yeah, my name is Ed. I am occasionally Neuromaster on Twitch, but more frequently I'm right here with these fine folks here at Wanderer's Haven, just playing games. I played Billy, the ex-cop in Bad Blood, and honestly had a great time.
Nice.
Sid, how about you?
Hey, Sid, and on this here funnel game, I played Ray, your resident glow boy. Can typically be found on the interwebs at _Sundance Sid, just palling around or here on this channel.
Except for places that have like this weird allergy to underscores. It's strange.
Yeah. That's other than that, everywhere else is _Sundance Sid. But those few rare places, it's just Sundance Sid.
Nice. Who would you like to toss it over to?
I'm gonna send it on over to Carly.
Hi, I'm Carly, and I played Mari, our resident middle school teacher that punches vampires to death, because it's fun. Also lights them on fire using magnesium powder, because science.
I was gonna say I feel like you scienced more
science.
vampires than punched them, but
I punched a lot of vampires. I just finished them off with science. I punched them, then finished them with science. And it was great. You can find me at Carly Steichen on all the socials, and you can find my Etsy shop at Armadillo Dice on Etsy, where I sell all my fantastic dice that you should buy and roll and play with.
woohoo!
And that's me, so we're going to pop it over to Jason.
Hey, I'm Jason. You can catch me here on this channel quite a bit, or on my channel, just Glass Chills. I play some games over there on occasion. Much like Ed, it's mostly over here. And then I played our crazy, paranoid Peter. And I'll pass it over to Ryan.
I don't know if I'm not sure I would have put it that way, but okay. My crazy, paranoid Peter.
Yeah.
No, the, not a.
Oh, the.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I'm glad to be here. And I think it's appropriate that I went last because I started last. I played Diego D. Navarro. He is the spook of the group and kind of abrasive. Yep.
And that was it. That's all D did. Well, first, before we get into anything else, I want to thank all of you for being a part of the series. I had a blast running it. I hope you all had fun playing it, being a part of it, and helping to tell these character stories in the larger world of the World of Darkness. And speaking of the World of Darkness, one of the questions that we got from our Discord server is, have you played World of Darkness games before Bad Blood? And I know the answer to some of that, although I don't remember for sure because this was months ago that we started this conversation. So let's just do a quick round of who has played something in the World of Darkness prior to this. It didn't even have to be 5th edition. All right, so Ed and Jason and Ryan have all played something. What did you play?
For me, I did the LARP actually in the mid '90s when it first started.
Oh, no
popular.
kidding.
And then I had a long break, and then I did a stream for Vampire 5 last year.
Nice.
Where I played Nosferatu.
So having been part of the LARP scene back in the day, what did you think about 5th edition comparatively?
So I don't have the hang-ups on editions. I know a lot of people kind of like whatever,
Right.
To me, it's, this gives you this gives you this.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what system, you can still have fun. So
I guess, were you able to pick it up easily enough moving from what you knew?
It was so totally different, so there was no experience to pick it up from.
Gotcha.
Going from rock, paper, scissors to all the dice.
Boulder
Yeah.
parchment shears, right?
Quartz parchment.
Ryan, what have you played before? I actually already know the answer to this, but
Yeah, it's been a long time. I played a werewolf game, I played a vampire game, and then I played a game that never got off the ground with Jeremy that was gonna be epic.
it was going to be so much fun.
And it never happened.
I've
That's
actually-
okay.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. No,
yeah.
it's not okay.
Yeah, that's it. So, but it's been a long time. I've read a lot of World of Darkness stuff. I really want to play a mage game. I just really do. I think it would be really fun. And some of their other stuff too that's not so World of Darknessy, but White Wolf's stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, Exalted and the other stuff that did. Yeah, nice.
Exalted's a lot of fun.
Nice. I have the 1st edition. Never played it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed, you've played stuff before. What have you played?
The thing that I've played the most outside of this is actually Mage.
Nice.
With the caveat that I played that 20, 25 years ago.
Fair.
But Mage was actually, Mage and AD&D sort of together were the things that were my introduction to tabletop role-playing games.
Nice.
And it was cool because in a lot of ways they're so different.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that makes D&D special is just the wealth of spells that it has. It stands head and shoulders above a lot of other games just for the catalog of spells that you can choose from, and they feel so cool. And then Mage has no spells, but you can do anything. Right? The ability to really get into the nerdy detail for crafting magic. I thought that was just so cool. So,
quick question before we move on to more of a group after the fact question. Did you, moving from Mage into Hunter, because they are both mages are a little more attuned to the magical world and stuff like that, but there's no mortals. Did you have a lot of connection between the two, or were they vastly different in your mind?
I think for me it was a very different experience. There's a lot of crunch when it comes to casting spells in Mage. Right, the effects that you're trying to make, the circles that you're trying to use, all that, how much paradox are you going to unleash? And with Love, there wasn't a lot of crunch. None of us have, we don't do fireballs here as hunters, right? We don't have special abilities other than C4 and drones and shotguns, right?
I mean,
so it felt a lot more. It felt a lot more storytelling focused, and less fantastic. from my perspective, it's more like I'm exploring a fantastic world from the perspective of a mere mortal, because that's literally what's happening.
Yeah, totally. Nice. Well, just to do a little recap, we won't go over the whole series, but a super Reader's Digest version of the Reader's Digest version Cliff Notes. You all found this character, Ray, who seemed to be imbued with some kind of supernatural power to destroy vampires. Unfortunately, it required his blood to be consumed by the vampire, and that has caused issues throughout the series, of Ray falling unconscious and not being able to like really be interactive with things. And so there was like a health concern there that maybe this was going to kill Ray in the process. But in the end, you had been guided towards this vampire that you were told was essentially hunting you all because of Ray's existence and your knowledge of his existence. And so you went to hunt him instead. This vampire ended up being a very powerful, in vampire lore, Karsh, the warlord Karsh, is a very powerful, what's known as a Methuselah, ancient vampire, and was well beyond... I'm surprised you all walked away, to be honest. I expected there to be more death, and the only reason there wasn't was the roll of my crap-ass dice during that final battle. That being said, as everyone fled the building with Karsh destroyed behind them, Ray clinging to life barely, most of you were carrying or helping to get Ray out of there. D was a couple blocks away, had been set up as a sniper to kind of shoot through the windows and stuff. And so you all kind of disappeared from that scene. And that's where we ended. There was a post you all scene where it was revealed that Amelia Love, who was Peter's former partner in another hunter cell, had actually survived the attack on Onryo and was perhaps pulling your strings all along. But seemed like she was under the influence of someone else as well. But we'll get to that all in a bit. As the group disappears into the day, because it was still daytime, I'd like you all to kind of tell us what you think your character would do. We're going to start with Carly because I just want to make sure Carly gets the chance to say what is going on with Mari before you need to jet. So, Carly, as you headed off into the day, what do you think Mari would have done?
I think first on her list is making sure that Ray ends up somewhere that he can get taken care of. So probably not like a main hospital, given what we just did. That's a little too easily found, but maybe working with some of the others to just find a place to make sure that Ray gets the assistance that he needs to survive and live. After that, the next bit of her business is to go check on the girls back at Santa Cruz and make sure they're okay, and understanding that she's likely not going to be able to return to her life there, providing them a way of getting in contact with her to ensure that they're okay and that she can help them if they need it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, she would still continue her hunter work, but she would probably find a location a little ways away from Santa Cruz, probably a few hours, close enough that if something happened, she could come help, but far enough away that she's not in the immediate vicinity. I think that those are her like top three. This is what I'm gonna do now.
Gotcha. And just for anyone who's just tuning in, there were 2 girls that you had essentially saved. You had been working at a homeless shelter, and you had saved them from a attack of the supernatural. You were like the 3 survivors of the entire thing, and you ended up being not their legal guardian, but kind of a watchful eye over them should anything need to be taken care of for them. What do you think that looks like as far as your involvement in their life moving forward?
I think moving forward, she wants to be available as somebody that they can always reach out to no matter what the problem is, so that she can help or just talk to them or, just be another contact for them in their life. Um, and I think that's just her ultimate goal, is to make sure that she can be there for them however they might need her, even though she's not their guardian. So probably setting up some sort of less like traceable way to be in contact. Probably multiple methods, because Peter has his influence, as I'm sure he's very proud of.
Nice. Excellent. Do you have any other stuff that you want to say as far as what thoughts on Mari or thoughts on Mari's experience?
Honestly, just so surprised that Mari survived. Like, I built her to be a frontliner in a world where frontliners die. Like if you're a frontliner and you try to solve things by hitting them. But she did use science. So, science rocks. In case you didn't know, guys, STEM. Do it.
I will say that you stemmed at least one fairly powerful not level 1 vampire to death, rather surprisingly, during an episode. So for those of you who haven't seen the series, head over to YouTube. The link is now in the channel. We have a playlist for the 10 episode series. I definitely recommend it. It was a blast to run for all of these folks. Carly, who do you think should go next? Not Ryan, because Ryan is not currently here.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring it over to my frontline partner in crime, and we're gonna hit Billy.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. Ed, tell us about your thoughts about Billy's future.
I think Billy is a little bit shocked to make it through this whole experience. He was not looking for death, but he was scared as hell. That's like why it was actually like so important to him to like go get like a nice suit and all that was, he just didn't want to be found in, sweatpants. Right.
Fair. Nice.
But I think one of the first things that he does is he had actually set up like a dead man switch, where if he doesn't like hit the right button on the right website, a couple of texts or emails or things like that would have gone out. And I think it occurs to him, like as he's, getting out of the hotel and as like he's seeing like, okay, Ray's going to be taken care of. And like, I'm sure Dee's got his business handled, right? It's like, oh fuck, like if I don't press that button in the next 30 minutes, like people are getting some very, very confusing emails.
Oh, wait a minute.
Right?
Nice.
So I think he turns that off and honestly probably hops a train home. I imagine him like getting on the phone with his roommate Dieter, just because like he needs someone to talk to, but like it can't be talking shop, right? Like he doesn't want to talk to the other hunters like at this moment. He just needs like a minute to like unwind.
Yeah, something
right?
normal.
So he probably tries to link up and like, you know, make an arrangement to like get coffee with him or something like that. A little bit further out, I think that Billy would probably stay in the world of hunters. I think that this is something that has really been important to him ever since he left the police force, and he hasn't been scared off as terrifying as all this was. But like at the same time, I think that he's sort of run into some differences of opinion with some of the people that he worked with to pull this off. And the idea of sort of setting up his own cell in a way that suits him is probably really attractive, even as he probably does want to maintain, you know, cordial relationships with the people that were, you know, the only reason that he was able to, you know, be part of taking Karsh down.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. Are there any other thoughts that you want to add as far as Billy during the season or moving forward?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get to Dee or Ray, I want to talk about Peter, the character. Just want to make sure clarify that. So, Jason, let's talk about Alex, also known as Peter.
Yep.
You were with the other two during all of this as Dee was, you know, kind of sniping from the distance, and you're helping to remove Ray from the scene as Ray's like, I mean, Ray was hanging on by a thread at the end there. Gonna take a good deal of rest to heal up that aggravated damage.
Quite a bit.
And I know we talked a little bit about what you thought Peter would do, but why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that, and as you've turned that corner, where does Alex/Peter go? And what will his future name be?
Yeah, it'll be another Eastern European name that's Englandized, right? So instead of Piotr, he's Peter.
Right.
Instead of Alexander, he's Alex. You know, like,
Fair.
you know. So he'll come up with a new mask. You know, luckily he has mask 2 crafting, so you know he can make a good another identity for himself.
Nice.
As far as where he ends up right now, he's paranoid as hell. You know, he knows Onryo had information on him, which he believes has either been leaked to the vampires or was taken by the vampires when they attacked. So, you know, his goal right now is to get out of Dodge and disappear. Just, you know, back roads, small country road, you know, somewhere where he can set up for a while, build up some income via whatever method he needs to.
Yeah.
You know, and then Faraday that laptop so he can try to get into it and find out what's on it. Because honestly, that was more of his ulterior motive of being there, was to collect that laptop that the vampire had been using, because he didn't know if he could trust anybody to grab it and bring it to him.
Totally.
Afterwards.
Nice.
Yeah, he'll go, you know, total dark.
Is there anything that you want to talk about as far as Peter's journey through the series?
Initially, when I designed the character, he was going to be much rougher than what he was. I think we softened it a little bit, especially with his former teammates dying. Like, initially, the background was that he killed them, right? It was like, you know, vampires are going to get away. He's like, fuck it, just, you know, oh, sorry. You know, blow it, be done with them, right? Yeah, we made it a little bit more nebulous of, you know, what was said versus what he heard, etc. You know, so I think, you know, the character was interesting. Like I said, the concept initially was, what if Ted Kaczynski became a vampire hunter? And I didn't want him to be like a good character, right? He was a guy that did what he thought he had to, but he was also, you know, crazy as hell. So
Totally
wasn't
fair.
it wasn't meant to be a hero or anything like that, right? Like he was definitely rough around the edges.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. So, I do want to talk about like Peter and Alex for a moment here. Stacy, who is typically in our chat, and we always appreciate her presence and everything, but she has mentioned to us in the chat, or in our Discord. I'm trying to find it here. I really liked that there was a disabled character, which was Peter, and the fact that the game didn't shy away from this, as she is a disabled person. Peter, Alex felt grounded in believable reality, and we kind of talked about it a little bit about how we made sure to respect the fact that Peter was in the wheelchair by you weren't running upstairs and doing things that you wouldn't be able to do, but you were absolutely part of the action and part of the team, and everyone made sure to work with the realistic limitations that you had without hindering your ability to play the game as someone who is capable of doing things in a different way. And I thought that was really a great thing that I don't know if that's what you intended to do with Peter, but I thought you did really well with it, and I hope that we as a group of people playing the game did well by it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I actually talked to Stacy when I was coming up with the character, and I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I had spoke with Stacy to make sure, what would be, some of the common problems and pitfalls, and Stacy gave me some advice on things that how to play, and how what the tropes really bother Stacy, and so I tried to make sure not to hit those type of things. I had a rant I figured was going to go up on Billy at some point about moving his shower chair where he was living. Right,
right,
because it's just such a pain in the ass to get the shower chair back in the right spot, right, for him. I was expecting to have that rant at some point, and that was something I had planned out in my head, for instance. And just things that would have been just normal things to him.
Yeah, nice. So who wants to go next, Dee or Ray?
I'll go.
Okay, so before you go then, I need to ask the three that were carrying your unconscious body away, where did you take Ray?
Oh, man. Well
I
again,
imagine that if we didn't have any contact, I was gonna say if we didn't have any contact with somewhere close by, I think last resort, her apartment.
So once
That
again,
has a surgery set up there.
Ray wakes up in Mari's extra bedroom. Except for this time, Billy's wearing a suit and not a fanny pack. I love it.
Yes, the first thing I do, opening my eyes, seeing that I in a familiar spot, is just guess not this time. And then
not again.
Not this time, I guess. Just indicating that I survived another. He survived another harrowing experience.
Yeah. So because you didn't get to join us for the last one, so there were some reveals, and essentially that was there's some stuff that I'm not going to talk about because it's spoilers for an ongoing story of what's going on as far as this corner of the world of darkness goes. But I will say that Ray, after Karsh fed on Ray, fell into a trance once again, started having flashbacks, and it was revealed that essentially you were not carried to term as a baby, and something killed your mom, and you were removed by someone who blessed you or cursed you, depending on how you look at it. so that your blood would affect vampires in a certain way. This was there was some ties to, actually, you know what? You never got that far as figuring out what the tie was to. Peter never had a chance to really delve into the symbols that he had seen and that you ended up seeing in your dream. So understanding that you have been placed in this situation, we'll say, what do you think Ray's next move is after waking up? And this would be like a week later of being like cared for by these people, or at least Mari or somebody. They might have I guess it
she would make sure he wakes up at the very least. But with that, I do have to go. I have plans. So
enjoy the game, Carly.
If you guys have any questions, put them in the Discord and
Totally.
I'll answer them.
Nice. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, enjoy the Sharks game.
All right. Bye.
So yeah, Sid, Mari, make sure that you survive.
Yeah.
What do you think you do after that? Do you try to go back to your life? Do you go? Yeah.
I'd take a while, to rest, get myself back into that, to get myself back into normal form. I could do everything. Probably not all the way 100%, maybe like 85, 90, and then start, going about life again.
Gotcha.
Instead of sitting around, bedridden or whatever, waiting to heal. Just start doing things when he feels well enough to do it. But after everything that would happen, I don't think he'd go back to regular life. He'd stay in that world. Probably at first, like, I just take that time to rest for a little while, and then go spend time with his found family, his foster siblings.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Spend a little bit of time with that while in that rest stage, still keeping an eye, because once you know the world's there, you can't really
unsee it.
Unsee it. Yeah. Once the curtains are opened, you can't close them again. So just looking at everything, seeing everything as it is instead of what it's hidden to be. Not necessarily taking action as yet, because still in that healing process, but definitely immersed in still in the world as it is. I think I'd try at least to keep in contact with everyone. If not like an all the time thing, at least once in a while. I think Peter would probably be the hardest person to get in contact with, or stay in contact with at least.
Just like every so often, you'll just get like a satellite phone number that is only good for like a day.
Yeah, things like that.
Nice.
So, try to keep in contact with everyone, but still, I think he'd be more. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of wary, because now like I said, now he knows what's out there, and he has people that then everyone doesn't. So everyone's going about their life like they don't know what's actually out there. He knows that he can't just say, "Hey, this is what's out there."
Right.
He can't just do that. So
yeah, I feel like being a hunter and like being awakened to the world of darkness is kind of like the Matrix, where once you realize the Matrix is what it is, you can't stop being like, you can't unsee the Matrix. You can't stop realizing that you were just in this like trap. And once you realize in the world of darkness that you are just food for the immortals, that's kind of a thing to live with, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess just seeing for what it was before, he'd probably see, you know, people sneaking off to be, you know, alone in a dark alley, or people disappearing, and he's like, oh, that's just the way of the world. But after everything happened, it's like, okay, that's what that is.
Right.
All right.
So do you think that Ray becomes a hunter, or do you think Ray essentially just like goes to ground and tries to hide from everything, even though you know it's real?
He'd become a hunter.
Nice.
Because, like I said, taking that time to heal, spending time with his foster siblings, he'd think his line of thought would be, I was oblivious to all of this. I didn't see anything was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And then there were people like Peter and Billy, Dee, and Mari, who were in this world, you know, in the shadows, protecting, helping to keep, at least as much as they could, keep these monsters at bay. So I think he'd gravitate towards that and think of it as all of them are oblivious to this world. Someone needs to protect them. You can't do it forever, but they need help, basically. So nice. I think that's just what he'd be focusing on.
Cool. I do want to say, so when we were doing the setup for all of this, there was a discussion of who had played World of Darkness before in like the various Discord chat stuff that we had going on, and I messaged you privately because I was just like, hey, so you've never played World of Darkness, and so kind of building off that, I want you to just play some guy. You have no idea what's going on, and you're gonna get drug into all of this, and therefore you technically don't even need to learn the rules until you're like doing them, kind of thing. Like, this was like not only Ray's coming out party to the World of Darkness, but it's your chance to learn the system as we went. And I thought that was a kind of a fun way to do it, as far as because I mean, I feel like you were kind of like almost as in the dark as Ray was. Like, you were like, I don't know what any of the shit is.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
All right.
I think Ray's going to have to go Lance Armstrong and start storing some blood in the freezer to help restock.
Right.
I think that's something that he'd actually do. Like, after learning everything came out. He was blessed or cursed or whatever it was. All he knows is his blood does things to these vampires. So he would, you know, start, you know, researching everything like that, storing things, eating more meat to increase those red blood cell counts.
Thanks, Jason, for the pepper treat.
Diet.
She doesn't deserve it. She's being sass, but thank you for the pepper treat.
But definitely, you know, storing vials of blood, things like that, for in case you'll need it, you know, it'll come in handy.
Nice. Well, before we get into other stuff, we still have to talk about D. So, Ryan.
Yeah.
D pretty much got to be hands off for most of the battle with Karsh. Did manage to take out one of the vampires that was in the room with that. You like the sniper shot you did, just like evaporated that. Like, there was nothing I could do. There was, my dice roll against that was terrible. But you still like lost your livelihood, your everything that you built up until this point, essentially. The company that you were working for, Onryo, has been completely destroyed. The owner still is alive somewhere, and I'll say rather than but you know that I think Peter was pretty vocal about it being potentially possible, and maybe Billy had said something about this as well, that the owner of Onryo might have been the one who sold you all out, essentially, because it was rather fortuitous for her to have been out of town when this attack happened and everyone was killed. So you've managed to end the threat against yourself as far as you know. What do you do?
Yeah, after the game, I spent some time thinking about how D would act. I think immediately following the events, he would be in a state of training, right? And so he is going to go to ground. He'll probably change his identity. He will fabricate, a new cover story and move out of the region probably pretty significantly. Maybe he'd move to the Pacific Northwest. Maybe he'd move, someplace else. He's been all over the world. And so he's not afraid of moving. I think he definitely is not, kind of like what you were mentioning, like you're in the Matrix, like the Matrix exists, you are now outside, and so he's not, not like his life was really that normal anyways. But he's not gonna just kind of continue on as if there aren't new monsters in the dark. I think where his mind goes is kind of two places. One, he does not believe that the government does not know about this, and so is very curious as far as to their either involvement, what's been weaponized, like what is the previous employer, what is their take on it, and also I think that there's this was a very eye-opening experience in that basically humanity's last resort against vampires is a bunch of loons. And so he is he's like a little, he's very impressed at the scrappiness of this group of people, but he also is like not gonna put his life in their hands as much as possible. So I think that he would either kind of take a kind of soldier for hire, mercenary, kind of like a hitman type of approach to kind of doing this at the same time of doing his own research, or if he found good reason, or through maybe some of his most trusted contacts, he would probably build a team that is much more like Delta Force-esque than science teachers with a lot of grit. And so, yeah, I think that's where he would be. He certainly would, I think that if his career was long and storied or whatever, I think he would always kind of view this as my son's crying, as like, kind of like a first love. And so even if years and years and years down the line, he's not in frequent contact with these people, he would be checking up on them, even like, just like, oh, I wonder if everyone's still alive. Is Peter, that sort of stuff, and possibly providing whatever resources he could to this group of people to help their continued fight. I think he wouldn't necessarily, if he learned a lot of stuff, he may kind of do some filtering of information. He very much understands that information is power. But yeah.
Nice. So what I'm kind of getting from everyone is that everyone goes and covers their bases, make sure that they are safe, make sure that their loved ones are safe as much as possible. However, there is a distance that grows between pretty much everyone. So even with that distance, I'm curious if anyone does any checking up on Akari Ito, who is the woman who was in charge of Onryo, who's the founder of Onryo, based on the theories that some characters were holding at the end there. And anyone can respond to this, so it's not a specific question.
I definitely think Peter is going to look into her. I think the laptop is his first priority because he feels like there's real data there to be had about more of the network of vampires, maybe in San Francisco, etc.
Gotcha.
Places that he could, mail bomb.
Yeah. So this is the Onryo laptop that.
No, this is Karsha's laptop that he took from.
Totally. Gotcha. Yeah, that's a vastly different thing. Totally. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, remember that was the priority that he got before he left was to go get that laptop.
Yeah. So when Ryan gets back, remind me to ask him if he keeps the laptop that he got from Onryo or if he sends it with one of you. And does anyone have any other things as far as their character specifics go before we kind of dive into some of the chat questions?
One thing that actually I would send to Billy is the name of the gangbanger that helped take down the vampire at the hotel at the hospital. It's gonna be like, new to the awakening, effectively.
Yeah. He so because you didn't all really get to deal much with that, there was a good deal of, even though you like plowed that vampire with your car, it wasn't enough to take it out. And so there was a good deal of carnage that still like happened after your fleeing that warehouse district. And so Angel did survive, but his group has been sorely hurt by the vampire presence. And now that they know that, I think that's a really interesting group for the future of you all as far as being able to interact with them, because now there's like their like need for vengeance against these vampires, that like sense of family that they held within their gang has been threatened and kind of actually like very much like attacked. And therefore I could see like that group moving away from, like, maybe they still sell drugs, but they could become I can't think of what it's called, I don't have my book open, but there's like organizations in the Hunter Guide that essentially are like these like gangs that aren't much more than that, but they are fairly effective at hunting down certain things. Okay, so definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Just to tag on to your question about investigating what's her face, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think about how Billy would go about it, like the decision making. And my take on Billy is that he's super jaded isn't exactly the right word, but like he sort of, before his awakening to the world of darkness, he believed that the people in power were all like gangsters and predators and exploiters, and he still does, but he just sort of now files, the creatures of the night into that same category,
Right.
And kind of working under the assumption that it's like, well, fuck, if, Apple or Nvidia or something like that is the biggest company in America, then like naturally they got it by stepping on a whole lot of throats, and there's probably some vampires in there as well, right? So like I think it sort of depends on like what kind of footprint Onryo would have had.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think that especially trying to start a new cell, I think he'd try to stay like pretty grounded. Karsh was a big fish, but like at the same time, I think he wants to do what he can where he can, and like not necessarily try to figure out if like the president of the United States is a secret vampire, right?
I got bad news for you. Every angel fund investor in the valley are vampires.
Nice.
Or at least they're bloodsuckers anyway.
That is fair. Totally fair. All right. So questions from the Discord chat. Stacy wanted to know, what did you enjoy most about Bad Blood, the series? Anyone can start off. Or if you're all like, oh, it was crap, I had a horrible time, we can just bypass the question.
I'll jump in, and then I'm going to have to go a little early. But
Fair.
I think two things. One is a very personal thing, and it's not really related necessarily to Bad Blood. But over the course of this game, I had a very close familial death, and so having this game really helped me kind of like work through that, and I appreciate that. I haven't shared that with really anyone. So and then secondly, I really enjoyed the dynamics between everyone. Every character was well defined, and it wasn't it was antagonistic without being how some antagonistic groups can be, of just like kind of infighting and so, and frankly some vampire games can be like, it gets a little bit too much, and so it felt both like positive and real and grounded in reality. Like how particularly I think that Peter and Billy's interactions were really interesting, and I really appreciated them. And then Mari's kind of mothering of everyone, and how everyone kind of took that.
Homeroom teachering.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. When you say it that way, I envision the fact that like people who are awakened don't all fit the same mold. It's not like people who find out are all a certain type of person, and so it was interesting to see this group that everyone comes from a different background, different walk of life, and how they dealt with their awakening and the knowledge of the world of darkness and stuff like that was really interesting to see. Definitely appreciated having you on the show, Ryan. It was for those of you who didn't know, so the one person who isn't here on the show tonight, Taylor, they couldn't, or they were supposed to play through the entirety of it, and then our scheduling conflicts messed everything up, and so they weren't able to play through the entire thing. And so Ryan kind of stepped in to pick up where Taylor's character was supposed to go as far as guiding you all, which was fantastic. It was great to have a PC doing that rather than me having to be like, okay, the NPC says this to you and stuff like that. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad that the game got to be what it was for you, Ryan. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out. Go take care of your child, sir.
See you, Ryan.
Good night.
See you.
And then there were 4.
And I'm glad you said that, Ryan. Too. I had so much fun with the character interactions, but I know Peter is an asshole, so I was a little worried sometimes if I was bothering other people,
Gotcha.
right? With his, how much, how he would grate against people, or his paranoia, etc.
Right.
You know,
I think you all did really well as far as dealing with each other's quirks, because you took them as like the idiosyncrasies that another person has and tried to deal with them as much like in a real world way as possible, rather than a D&D way where you're just like, oh, I go over and stab him in the back or something like that. And I think that mentality for this game was much more entertaining, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, like my experience, like playing across from Peter, like I think part of the reason that Billy may want to set up his own cell is after the experience of the game, I think he sort of thought about the interactions that he had with Peter, and he sort of realized that like the person that he maybe hoped would be like his ride or die vampire slaying buddy, like is really maybe a little bit more selfish than what Billy really wants to keep doing, right? And like I think for Billy, that moment there, happened actually in the Ranger station, right, where he was really serious, like, no, don't burn this place down, and Peter was just like, no, I'm not really interested in what you had to say, right? So like that's part of why I think Billy might move away, but like he really cared a lot about Peter. As a player, man, I looked forward to every game to come play across from you, Jason, because I had a blast doing those interactions, right? So like I had a great time. It was a load of fun playing with you.
Yeah, or even we'll have to get Jeremy to answer that, whether it blew up or not.
I just answered your chat. We should do a poll.
The other thing I wanted to say, just in terms
Yeah.
of like what stood out to me or what I really enjoyed, was actually call outs for some of the structure of the game that you set up, Jeremy. The first thing that came to mind was the backstory one-on-ones that you did with all of us were just absolutely a standout for me.
Part of my
I love
favorite
getting
parts
that
too.
vision into like other folks. And the one that we did together, I thought you did like the most spectacular job of just like making like Billy feel like isolated and alone and like completely incapable of escaping this like enshrouding corruption. It was exactly what it needed to be. It was wonderful. So I really enjoyed that.
I want to second that, and I think the audience really loved those as well.
Nice. I hope so. I know I've definitely seen some positive feedback about it, and I'm hoping people enjoyed it. I think it really helps to engage with the story when they care about you as characters, and it made it easier for us to build a stronger story together, having had background, rather than just being you met at a tavern and now we're going to go raid a dungeon. Which is also fun. It is a completely fine way to play things, but as far as this type of storytelling goes, I just felt it fit better. Sid, did you enjoy anything about Bad Blood?
I enjoyed every every moment I got to play. It was enjoyable.
Nice. It was awesome to have you when you were able to join us, for sure.
Yeah. I just the thing with Ray, so the character was not necessarily nonchalant, but I built him to be ex-military. He did a lot of missions. He was special forces. So when it came to carrying out the missions or doing whatever, it was pretty much second nature to him. So the only added thing was these guys are vampires, you know, not
Right.
just normal people, which uh it added to the experience. It obviously it's not going to be the same
Totally.
with you know it being not normal people, but it was pretty much easy just to have that character jump in to what was going on without and not really giving much pushback, especially when D and Onryo came, because he understood organizations, he understood the government, give or take. You know, they wouldn't just leave him alone until they got what they wanted, so he
Yeah.
didn't really have much of a choice. So that's why I was so quick to just go along with everything and just like, hey, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that interaction was really interesting because, like, when it came to these, to be honest, like from an outside perspective, these crazy ass people that like
Yeah.
maybe kidnapped you, you're not really sure. And then you had these other two people who were also complete strangers, but they at least were like something familiar to your character, to Ray. And so I thought it was interesting how like that flip happened between, you know, here's these people that might have saved your life and might have helped you, but they might have kidnapped you. You're not really sure. And then these other people that were just like, so here's some proof and here is what we need from you. And you were like, cool. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Stacy asked whether or not there will be more Hunter actual plays. I want to say yes. That's, I guess that's more of a channel question. Therefore, I should be a little more, I guess, the one to answer it. I could ask you all, will there be more Hunter plays? But who knows? There is a plan that I have in my head. Should it work out with scheduling and timing and everyone's availability and desire to do so, that there could potentially be more Hunter in the future. I have a story in my head that kind of one, it wants to be told, but it's going to play through not just Hunter. It's going to delve into some of the other World of Darkness aspects to get the various angles of how this story plays out. So the next part of the series will not be a Hunter one, but it is possible that we can see these characters again in the future. So with that in mind, another of Stacey's questions was, what would you like to see or achieve in future adventures for your characters? So let's say you get the chance to come back in the near future or in the far-flung future with these specific characters. What do you see for them as far as where have they gone in months or maybe a couple years from now?
I don't see Peter being long for this world without a little bit of someone keeping him in check.
Fair.
He will probably go a bit off the deep end, especially if he can get any information off this laptop of things to attack, things to go after, etc. I can't see him being as paranoid as he is. He's still not super safe about it.
Fair.
So I expect it's going to bite him in the ass at some point.
Okay. What about Ray or Billy?
So months, like I said, just going to be a lot of rest, a lot of research, like light Hunter activities for the next few months, just to get himself back to tip-top shape after everything that happened. Talking to the foster siblings, letting them know that he might be away for a little bit, because the whole point of where he was to be a little bit closer to the family, to everyone. So he's just saying that, yeah, I might disappear for a little while, might not be as available as I used to, just things are going on, whatever. Just let him know that. And then within years, I see him either well, joining. I don't think he'll join another one. He might join different cells for a little while. Never staying in one place. And then at some point probably start his own.
Nice. What about Billy?
I think that probably the two most important things to Billy as a hunter are first building a cell that has sort of an esprit de corps, like a sense of like brotherhood or fraternity, really a shared vision, and people that are getting along, not where I'm going with this so much as just really a sense that we have the same goals, we're on the same page, and we are here to kill vampires and look out for one another. The other thing that I see as being like really important to Billy is that as a hunter, he is uncompromising. He is not here to hear about how ghosts and vampires and werewolves and mages are all perfectly fine people once you get to know them. They are monsters. They are intruding on the domain of humanity, and he's not really interested in hearing your story or why y'all deserve a place in this world as well. That is not what he is about.
I definitely think with Billy's experiences thus far, there's nothing to argue that mindset whatsoever. I would say that everyone pretty much has been screwed over by their I don't want to say inauguration, but their awakening to the world of darkness. There's not been a good moment of any of it.
I mean, it's not the world of happy sunshines and
right.
rainbows. Maybe
it's the friends you make along the way, but nice. Jumping down, there was a question that was kind of tied in. What was the inspiration for your characters? This one's from a Raven. And will we learn more of their backstories? The second part I can answer in the way that I will say absolutely maybe. As far as learning more about them, part of that will be we have a wiki that kind of working on that as I have time, and there might be some like little bits of details from characters that get worked in over there, but for the most part, as far as playing through and learning more backstory, I think that's more of a should we see these characters again, then that might be something. But what is the inspiration for each of your characters? Bless you.
I sort of started or said this earlier. Mine was, what if Ted Kaczynski became a vampire hunter?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, over the top, extremes.
Totally.
Guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. What if like all of these people who have done horrible things in the world, and like World of Darkness material kind of touches on this sometimes, but like exactly as you say, what if the Unabomber or whatever was actually a hunter taking out a hive of vampires, and it was just spun to look bad, by the press and stuff like that. So really interesting take on it.
I think for me, I got started just by reading some of the Hunter material, and it was the book itself, and also just like looking at the character sheet and what skills existed and like what seemed interesting to me, right? And I was looking at stuff like larceny, subterfuge, investigation, awareness, that kind of thing, and the archetype of the inquisitive, and like all of that said sort of detective to me. but the thing is, like, I personally have a pretty low opinion of cops. I didn't want to play one, so I sort of split the difference and wanted to go with like an ex-cop, um, which it was a way to sort of play with some of my own boundaries and conceptions while still staying in a spot that was comfortable for me. And it gave me sort of an opportunity to do kind of like a little bit of a punk rock thing that I enjoyed. So
Yeah, which I think
that
is
was how Billy came together.
I think stuff like that, like pushing your own boundaries in the safety that are TTRPGs is a wonderful way to do that and experience that and like kind of. So obviously, for those of you who know me, I just graduated with psychology degree, and I'm really looking into like TTRPGs as a therapy and stuff like that. And the concept of pushing against this and learning how we actually feel about these things is really fascinating to me. So having you build that based on that is really cool to me. How about Ray?
I'll be honest, super honest. I just want to make a cool dude that stab things. Even in D&D, I always lean toward martial classes.
Yeah.
Even if I do spellcaster, I always want to make sure that I'm able to do martial thing, attack with a sword, knife, whatever. Just physically attack. So that's kind of what I always lean toward, for the most part. Someone physical. And I just had the idea of ex-military, so ex-military, I think it would have been an easier backstory to come up with than just, I'm just a dude and I know how to do all these things. It is just easier transition for me, at least, into all that. Yeah, I'm fighting vampires now, but I already did this a lot. I know how to shoot guns. I know how to, fight unarmed, everything like that. It just was easy transitioning.
Yeah.
And that all just ended up with, a cool dude that stabs things.
So Sid, I have another question from chat specifically for you. Oh, it's
Yes.
from me, but that doesn't matter. Do you name all of your weapons for your characters, or is Stefania just like the one?
Yes and no. Sometimes in the RP of it all, things just come out. It's happened before, but it doesn't happen all the time.
Nice.
But it happens a lot. Sometimes they're not named ahead of time. Other times, like for example, D&D, if I have a magic weapon or a special weapon that the character starts out with, I just name it. Sometimes it's names like Stefania. Sometimes it's names like the Death Harp.
Fair.
But
Yeah.
it just comes about. Sometimes it just develops.
So
how it develops.
As far as Ray goes, I noticed Ray didn't name any of the other weapons. Why was Stefania so special?
Stefania, in the lore of it all, Stefania was the knife that he had in the military, and he just had that for a long time. So he developed an attachment with her. So she's just been there the longest. There were other weapons, but
none of them were Stefania.
Nah, because they're in his apartment, but I never got to go there. I missed a couple of games when we were stocking up, and I kind of just got back when we were just in the thick of things. So I never got to, in the RP say, I go to my apartment to go get his Berettas, which were what were they?
Did they have names? I might have missed that.
No, like I said, it never came up because he never actually went to his apartment, or I wasn't in the game. I wasn't at the game to say, "Hey, Ray's gonna stop at his apartment to go
Gotcha,
get his
gotcha.
Berettas." I missed the one game, and then the next game we were already infiltrating the bowling alley.
Right.
So I just had two regular pistols, but it was twin Berettas. I think the names were, what were they? I don't think I wrote them down either.
If
I
you
think
find
it
them,
was
post them in the.
Lillian. It was Lillian and Farah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think that's what they were.
Well, if they weren't, they are now. It's canon.
Yeah.
Thanks for the puppetry. Maybe delivered. So, Stacey asked, are you interested in exploring other facets of the world of darkness, such as mages or wolves? Obviously, some of you have already played some of that, but moving forward, if there was, let's just make it, if there was one other facet of the world of darkness, and this doesn't have to be just the 5e stuff, it can be, so you're not limited to just hunter, werewolf, and vampire, it can be any of the previous stuff. What would you each choose? And you can go into why if you would like to. Ooh.
I'd like to do Demon the Fallen.
Yeah. That's a fun one.
That one was always interesting to me. So I think, with streaming games, you have to be maybe a little bit. It does get quite religious in some ways compared to some of the other way World of Darkness can be.
I think I would want to do werewolves, mostly because on either side of it, being a hunter in werewolves or being a werewolf, I've always gravitated more toward the werewolves rather than the vampires in the age-old battle. I was Team Jacob.
To be fair, so was I.
But yeah, I was pushed towards werewolves, so I think I'd want to play in that.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think I'd go werewolves as well. My first reaction was actually mage, but I don't think the things I like about mage do well in like a streaming format. And werewolf to me has the most appealing power fantasy to me, and it feels like it has the best pacing, or at least the potential for that. So I would also be very keen. Also, I played like one werewolf game like 25 years ago, right? Like just a tiniest little bit, and I'd love to learn more about it. So that's where I would want to be.
Nice.
It'd be interesting also to do like a Thin Blood game, except your Thin Bloods are actually hunters going after the other generations before they come for them. So it's sort of like a vampire game and sort of not. It's sort of a hunter game at the same time.
Totally.
That's just the Sabbat.
Yeah, pretty much. Except you're a lot weaker as a Thin Blood.
Right. Yeah, Sabbat can be super nasty powerful, and they're also super crazy fucked up. There was another question I had lined up. So Stacey had one more question as far as the question is, if you were a vampire, what would you be like? And I'm going to take that at face value. If you were a vampire, not if your character was a vampire, what would you be like?
I seem to go towards the Nosferatu a lot. Like when I did the LARP, I was Nosferatu. Stream, I was Nosferatu.
Nice.
I just like them for some reason. You know, I'd probably like try to be like one of the information broker Nosferatu.
Excellent. And if you haven't played Vampire and you don't know about the clans, that's all right. Just what do you think you would do if you were a vampire?
I was gonna say, not much knowledge about it, but my answer would just be hot. That's I'd be hot, and that's what I'd do.
You go play baseball
Just
in thunderstorms.
Yeah, in the thunderstorm, yeah,
Right.
be sparkly and sexy all the time.
Totally fair.
Just stay in high school for 30 years. Do that,
So creepy. Anyway.
I'm not the biggest lore nerd for Vampire, but based on what I know, I think I would be probably a Ventru. And the reason I say that is because, like, again, we're talking about like Ed, the player, right?
Right.
Like, me personally, I don't bash heads. I don't cast spells. Like, I don't run around in the woods or turn flesh into horrifying abominations. Like, I rely on soft power, on talking to people, on influence, on that kind of thing. And, you know, I rely on the constructs of society to get me what I need and to keep me safe. So, like, in vampire lore, like, that's the Camarilla and that's the Ventru.
So you're saying if you had access to flesh warping blood magic, you wouldn't use it at all?
I did not say that.
I just double checking.
But if I did, it's not me, it's a doppelganger.
Let's see. Got through all of
Well,
those.
you didn't answer that, Jeremy. What would you be?
Oh, that's a good question. I always have a hard time with clan stuff, and I actually took the test, and I got not what I expected whatsoever. My characters were always Ravnos. Oh, trying to think of what it's called. It was actually like something that I had to look it up because it was so like obscure.
Were you a Bali?
No. I might have to post this later in chat or something, because I can't remember what it said. They're like they're like the Justice vampires. It's like the Justice League.
Justice League.
Yeah, the Justice League for vampires. Oh, what are they called? Crumb. I can't think of it right now. I don't want to slow us down too much by trying to Google foo that without having any idea what to look up. Wait, what is the Justice League of Vampires? We'll just see if it. Nope. Yeah, that just brings up
The Justice League.
DC stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally worth. It was. You never know. It could have come up with something. The last question I'm saying. Let me just double check that we got all of these. Got that one. Got that one. Yep. 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 Cool. So there was a question for myself. Did I just loosely outline the story and then just ran with what the players threw at me, or did I write something a little more in depth? Somewhere in between. So there is definitely the overarching story of Ray and Ray's ability. And I know after the last episode I posted, I think in our Discord chat, that the title wasn't, it was like such a like quadruple entendre going on, and there's some spoilers to that I'm not going to reveal right now because it'll be revealed in maybe the next series. We'll see, but I can answer a little bit of it because there was bad blood between Amelia and Peter for what happened to their previous hunter cell. There was bad blood. So Ray's blood curse or blood blessing, depending on how you want to look at it, was what vampires would consider bad blood. Like, it's bad for them, very obviously. So there's your double entendre. I will say that the fellow that Amelia is working for had bad blood with Karsh, and is why they used you to take Karsh out. I'll throw that out there. That's a little spoilery, but I think we can leave it at that and still have enough to be revealed in the future. So should be a ton of fun still. So yeah, there was definitely some fun things going on with that, and that was all really pre-planned before we even aired the first episode. From there, I had a general idea of like beats to like kind of aim for, many of which we did not get to or aim for, or like we didn't even go in that general direction, because I just kind of left it up to all of you. Like, I wanted to see how you as your characters reacted to what was going on, and so while I had beats written out, they weren't written in stone, and they were easily removed or moved to different locations. Some of it was flying by the seat of my pants as the rug that I thought was very well nailed down to the floor was suddenly removed from under me, and I was just like, okay, we're going in a completely different direction. Excellent. So yeah, it was somewhere in between. I did have stuff written out, but I absolutely just ran with whatever it is that you all chose to do, which hopefully I did all right for you all.
Yeah, you definitely did. You rolled with the punches well. I wasn't seeing like, oh crap, what are we going to do now type things from you.
Oh, I didn't say any of that out loud? Good.
Yeah.
Nice. In chat, I just saw another question from Raven come up. Oh, what the hell was that thing that Mari fought in her backstory? That was a completely unique monster that was kind of based off of something I had just recently seen around that time too. I'm like, cool, I'm going to use that. But it was not an official World of Darkness critter. Leaning much heavier into the Wyrm as far as werewolf bad guys go, as far as its origin, instead of vampiric, whereas pretty much everyone else, their awakenings happened due to vampires. Like Peter's awakening was a Sabbat vampire. Billy's awakening was dealing with the Camarilla that was in Los Angeles, as far as some of the police that are essentially under their control, and him just asking the wrong questions of the wrong people. And then this was kind of Dee's awakening as well. Dee had seen some things, but this is the first time that Dee actually had to fight unliving vampires, like head to head. And especially that the bowling alley scene I thought was really interesting, because Ryan couldn't be there and I was just kind of guiding his character. It made it easier to be like, oh, he froze up, but it made sense for his character because it's the first time he had to shoot a civilian that wasn't, like there was no war on them. They weren't the enemy, as far as like the United States was telling him to go into this war and do this, and so he kind of lost his shit there, and I thought that worked out well. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I just was going to say, wait till Peter gets to Reno and looks for the bowling alleys.
I love it. And that was completely a Billy pulling it out of Billy's butt moment. Yeah, I'm from, so and so in Reno. And now Billy or Peter's gonna go bomb some bowling alley because of what Peter or what Billy made up. Love it. Any last thoughts as far as your experience as your characters or with the game? Anything you'd like to see happen in the future of the kind of story that goes from here?
I'm looking forward to the follow-up series
Nice.
as a
Yeah,
viewer
me too.
anyway.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I will say, these fine folk kind of know what the follow-up series is because they're in the casting call channel and have seen it, but have been told that they don't get to be in it because who knows if their characters are going to show up and they can't be playing both of them. So I feel like now is a fairly okay enough time. Currently
Did I
casting.
spoil it?
Well, no. It's currently casting, so I can't say 100% for sure when it's going to happen, but in the coming months, we should see a Vampire the Masquerade series coming to the channel that will... Excuse me, hang on a sec. Thank ya. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade series that will carry on from here. And essentially, that coterie will... my plan is for them to be a fairly powerful group of hunters, but they are, vampires that are hunting threats against vampires. And they have been sent to find these folks. And so we'll see how that goes. Because we're carrying on the
Cycle of violence.
well, yeah,
I mean, life.
and yeah, the ongoing puppet mastering that's kind of organizing all of this behind the scenes. So thanks again for the puppet treat. It's actually the last one in her little bowl here, so I need to refill. Would you like a puppet treat? She was kind of falling asleep there. All right. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you all. Thank you again for playing the game. I hope you had a ton of fun. I hope we will see your characters in the future. If not, I hope I get to play some other games with you also in the near future. We are going to raid out, so hang out while we do. Also, if you want to know what we have coming up, head over to our calendar and take a look. There are a couple new series coming. Historia starts on... Sorry, I need to bring up the calendar so I can verify this. January 11th, 18th, and 25th, we have a 3-part series called Historia, Blood Money. Not to be confused with this series. It has nothing to do with vampires or the world of darkness. Historia is a kind of a Italian Renaissance era fantasy game where everyone is playing anthropomorphic animals. So we'll have bird people and dog people and all of this wonderful stuff. Looking forward to getting to see that as Shiv comes over and runs that for us. We also have Daggerheart the Broken Spine every Friday, except for the 3rd and 17th of this coming month, because Carly will be gone. It's hard to run a game without your game master. On Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have For the Horde of the Dragon Queen, our ongoing D&D game where the group is playing the cultists, trying to bring back Tiamat, not the other way around. They're not trying to stop the summoning. And then, let's see, the 5th of January, we have the 3rd episode, which is the rescheduled 3rd episode for Shadow Dark Wanderings into the Dark. Looking forward to that. Sid is a player for that, and hopefully we'll see you there, Sid. And your character will get to meet my character, and that'll be a bunch of fun shenanigans.
Oh, yes, it will.
Nice. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's good to see you all, and we will see you in the future. Good night, all.
Take care.
to turn out the lights.